And now the final regular season episode of Donny Boast Weekly Football Flash with your host, Donny Boast.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of the 2016 season. Regular season, that is. We are gearing up for the playoffs and what will be an infinite number of games tomorrow as everyone is playing. To recap the week that was is very, very troublesome. The week that was brought on a lot of terrible and destructive things for all the franchises. However, there was one glimmering moment of hope and promise and joy that the Cleveland Browns won their first game at home against the San Diego Chargers. But joy is not without its pain. For the San Diego Chargers to go into Cleveland and lose is once again just another embarrassment for an embarrassed franchise. A franchise whose own hometown doesn't even want them anymore, and they are now going to play second banana to the Los Angeles Lambs in Los Angeles, in all likelihood. It's one thing to be kicked out of your own home city. It's another thing to go a few hundred miles up north. But it's another thing to be second banana to a team that is so pathetic it doesn't know which way it's going or how to get there. This is the modern state of the NFL, everyone. And heading into week 17, the only proof that's in the pudding is the fact that most of the teams and franchises and organizations are completely in shambles. Miami went into Buffalo and won. It took overtime to do it, proving once again that Miami is not what everyone thinks they might be, although we'll get to them in a minute. Buffalo's loss, of course, cost the end of Rex Ryan. He's now out in Buffalo, and we'll see where he goes next, if anywhere. The Washington Redskins went into Chicago. They beat Chicago handedly, 41-21. Chicago thinks Matt Barkley is their future. That just shows you how terrible things are in Chicago. The Minnesota Vikings continue their downhill slide as they went into Green Bay and lost 25-38. The miracle of this game is that Minnesota actually put up 25 points. Speaking of not putting up any points, the New York Football Jets, facing the biggest spread of the year, 17 points, went into New England and lost by a lot more than that, 41-3. Atlanta stepped into Carolina and won handedly, 33-16. We still don't know who or what Atlanta is. Tennessee at Jacksonville. Jacksonville wins, showing once again we don't know who Tennessee is. A lot of trouble out there in Jacksonville. Indianapolis went into Oakland. Oakland won, but not without the biggest loss of the season. For any franchise over the last, I can say almost 50 years or so, there has never been this scenario. It is unprecedented. To be completely in shambles, to pull yourself out of the shambles, to have promise, to make the playoffs, to be poised to go on a run, only to lose your MVP 2 weeks before the end of the playoffs. I've never seen anything like it. Derek Carr was a great thing to happen to the Raiders. He still got so much potential, and he's still beloved by the fans and the team. And we wish him a very, very speedy and resilient recovery out there in Oakland. They're going to need him. It was a very, very sad day. The Santa Clara Yorks are also in the midst of their own conundrum. They went into Los Angeles and somehow won, showing how terrible Los Angeles really is. Tampa Bay at New Orleans. That game ended up being won by New Orleans. We again don't know who Tampa Bay is. We also don't know who Seattle is. Arizona went into there and handled them 34-31. Cincinnati went into Houston, and Houston egged it out. We had the under in that one, and we were right. Baltimore covered. They didn't win. The Steelers made a comeback of it in the end, and they're in good place now for the playoff run. Kansas City beat up on Denver, kicking them out of the playoffs, and the Detroit did not have what it takes. They still don't. And they lost in Dallas 42-21. Moving on to this week, all the games will be played. Baltimore at Cincinnati. It doesn't really matter who wins this game, although I do think Baltimore will do it. They're favored by 1.5. Houston at Tennessee. Another battle of who cares. Well, this one has to be for Houston. The only thing they have to do is win. But they're already ahead of everybody out there, so I don't know. Stay away from this one. Tennessee's favored by 4. Maybe they'll do it. It's really unsure. Jacksonville and Indianapolis. Another game that doesn't matter. None of the games ever matter anymore. Indianapolis is favored by 4.5. Stay away from these ones because you don't know what's going to happen. Here's a game to pay attention to, though, folks. The New England Patriots will go into Miami. The New England Patriots always lose in Miami. They're favored by 9 points. I'm taking Miami because Miami can do one thing, and that's play New England tough at home. The Bears at the Vikings, good God. The Buffalo Bills at the Jets, oh jeez. Dallas at Philadelphia. Everyone's got Philadelphia because they don't think Dallas is going to play anybody. This could very well be true. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's favored by 5.5. You got to take them, folks. Carolina at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is favored by 3.5, and I guess you got to take them. I don't know if there's some crazy scenario that gets them in. There might be, the way things have gone, but you never know. What we do know is that Atlanta's in. They're favored by 8 at home against New Orleans, and I think they should probably cover that. I think New Orleans will cover that, actually. Oakland at Denver. Oakland's got to win this game regardless of who's at quarterback for them now. Again, it's just such a depressing state of affairs now in Oakland. But if they could win and New England can lose, that'll turn the tide over there in the AFC. Denver is favored by 1.5, but I'm going to take Oakland. Arizona at Los Angeles. Arizona's favored by 6.5. Take them. The Lambs are terrible. Kansas City at San Diego. Kansas City is favored by 4, but San Diego's going to win this game because they're going to play with nothing to lose, and they don't know where they're going to be tomorrow. Seattle at the Yorks. The Yorks are apparently going to fire everyone in the front office except Jed York, and he's the only one that really needs to get fired first and foremost above and beyond. He's a buffoon. So the Seahawks are favored by 9 points. They'll win by 30. The Giants, Green Bay, Detroit. Take Green Bay. That's it. We'll see you in the playoff run.